Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. And I'm your host, Jason Lee. And for today's episode, we're missing our co-host, Zeke Smith, but I am joined by two very special guests, Miss Traci Pelter, the president and publisher for Houston Business Journal, and Florian Martin, the growth team editor for HBJ. And so excited to have you guys joining us today. And our topic today is really to kind of give you guys, so it's been a long time since we've had HBJ on the show, I think well over a year. And so it's just kind of a refresher. It's a phenomenal publication. I think it's really a signature publication here in the marketplace and a cornerstone for our area. But there's also a lot of overlap in regards to the communication things that you guys are doing on a regular basis and then telling the story for our region. And so I think our mission here is to get the good word out about all the growth and things that are happening in this area. And Florian, I know that's your specialty, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So, but before we kind of dive in, I think you both are kind of new to roles, new opportunities. And so maybe we could just share a little bit about your background and your experience, where and how you led to your roles today, and then we'll jump into some of the topics. So with that being said, Traci, welcome. So why don't we go and kick things off with you first? Again, I think we had Bob here for years, right? So yes. Bob was a signature person here. And you just recently took the role, I guess, over the last year. So tell us a little bit about how that came about, what you've been doing, and what you're doing these days.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Jason. And thanks, of course, to the Economic Alliance for having us here. We're super excited to be here and talk to your audience. So I took over in December. Bob decided he was going to retire. And of course, Bob has been such a force in Houston. And so it's big shoes to step into, but I'm very excited to be a part of it. And I have been with HBJ now, I guess it's probably about 5 years, but it's been an amazing, 7 months. And, every day is different and unique and just very excited to be in this role and feel very privileged.
So, president, I get, right? But so for those that, because I don't know what that means when you say publisher, mm-hmm. right? So I know what publishing is, but
sure.
So what's the president? I run the organization, the people, developing all that. When it goes down to publisher, what does that role mean technically? What's the technical term for that?
I think it means you just kind of do it all. But,
okay, got
it. Overall, falls under me, of course, is the newsroom and the great reporters such as Florian.
Gotcha.
All of sales, advertising, revenue, all that falls under me, and of course, our events. So basically, we're like a small company within a big company, and it's all my responsibility.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
okay,
yes,
awesome. And so, but I guess when they say publisher, does that mean you have to bless everything that's being out there?
I do not have to bless everything. We have a great editor-in-chief, Sean
McCrory. So it's editor-in-chief. That's the one that does that.
Correct. Okay. And so that's really kind of his domain. But of course, ultimately, it's my name at the top of the masthead.
Yes.
So, if something isn't right or we need to correct something or I'm super excited about something, I do have an opportunity to say, hey, Sean, let's think about this a different way. But for the most part, that's his area of expertise.
Awesome. Okay. From Florian, tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so I've been with the Houston Business Journal for 3.5 years now. I was hired in November 21 as the regional real estate reporter, which was an addition to the previous or current real estate reporter, who, since I was hired, covers the inside of the Beltway, and I was hired to do the outside of Beltway 8 because we have been seeing so much growth in the Houston area. So one person was just not enough. So that's what I have been doing, since 21. And then recently, earlier this year, I was promoted to lead all the real estate and economic growth coverage for the Houston Business Journal. So that is a team of 3 people, including myself. I still mostly focus on outside the Beltway. Jeff Jeffrey still focuses mostly on inside the Beltway. And then we have Janet Miranda, who we hired not too long ago as our growth reporter, who looks mostly, also real estate, but also more of a focus on economic development, institutions, local government, and things like that.
Nice. Now, did you have a passion for that particular space, growth, and really like how long? When did you develop a passion for that specifically?
Mostly with being hired by the HBJ.
Okay.
I covered real estate before in my time at the Houston Public Media, the
Okay.
local NPR station, where I was the business reporter for several years. And real estate was part of that, but it was not everything. But that's when I first learned about, all the growth that's happening here, and really with my job at the HVJ, became an expert in where it's all happening.
Wow.
I dream of Google Maps at night. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I would imagine with all the great work that's taking place, you're a busy guy because of all the things that are taking place in our region. I feel like Houston's got its own little socioeconomic engine outside of the rest of the world. I know a massive amount of our GDP flows straight through this area for the entire state of Texas, which is pretty cool. So I'm sure you don't lack activity.
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's hard to keep up. It's a huge area,
Mm-hmm.
The Houston area, and outside the Beltway in particular. That's why it's for me. It's helpful to have some of the local community papers because they go to the city council meetings and things like that, which I can't do that. I used to do that in my very first job. I covered actually this area, Deer Park, Pasadena.
Wow. Okay.
And then some of the other Bay Area communities. And I think that was 4 different city halls I had to cover. That was already a lot to keep up with. But imagine now covering everything around the entire Beltway. So I can't do that, and rely a lot on some of the local coverage. So that's part of it, how I keep up. And then just mostly it's about making sources, source building, and then people coming to me and telling me what they're working on or what they're seeing out there.
Absolutely. And so Traci, walk us through again for those. I mean, listen, I think if you're watching the show, you've seen HBJ, but maybe you don't know in detail the purpose, the mission statement. So kind of give us kind of an overarching view of HBJ's role in the community and y'all's mission, and then the stories that you tell, and then some of the events that you guys put on.
Absolutely. So thank you. Yes, and one thing I was going to mention is that, of course, Florian's area has just grown so much because although a lot of our readers, of course, are based in the greater Houston area, we do have a substantial readership that's outside of Houston. Mm-hmm. And they're always looking for ways to either, should we move a branch to Houston? Should we move our headquarters? So they're constantly reading Florian's articles on where's the growth, what's happening, and what should I be aware of. So that's, as far as what Houston Business Journal really, I think, means to the community, for those that don't know, we're one of 44 business journals across the United States. Our headquarters is Charlotte. And I think what really our secret sauce is that we have local news. So all the reporters are local, all the advertising sales executives are local, the events team, everything's local. So we want to bring opportunities and stories and content that you can only get here.
Right.
So, we feel our bigger purpose, of course, is to bring great news, breaking news. We have great journalistic integrity. Our job is not to embarrass anybody. Our job is just to tell the news and provide important business information so that, owners and managers and partners can make decisions about what's best for them.
Yeah, it's interesting that you would state that because, as a Houstonian, I think of HBJ as a flagship publication for me to get information around my area, but I can only imagine how many people are viewing it from other regions, using it as a resource. Would you guys say that you guys probably are the leading business publication when it comes to people trying to seek information for this particular region and where to get it? Like where I can't even think of another place that people would go.
I'm with you. I think 100% we are I would say the best, and I can say that very proudly. We have a great team of reporters, and I don't know where else you really would go to get the local, most up-to-date, most current news. In fact, we have now started partnering with KHOU Television, because they, of course, want to be able to tap into some of our news and content that they don't necessarily are able to get a hold of. And so they will call us and say, hey, can Florian come over in a few minutes? We're going to do a story. Can you jump on the air? So we're very excited about that partnership because it just will continue to expand our reach.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then you guys have, I think of a lot of the signature I've actually met and championed a few folks. I have a separate podcast from this where I've had a couple of folks on that were, nominated as and or had won awards for your, top CEOs. And Chad was one, as a matter of fact,
Yes.
one of the most admired CEOs.
Yes.
And then you also have the 40 under 40. But what are the other awards that you guys do?
So we have a brand new one we're super excited about that's going to take place in July for Most Admired CFO. So
cool.
They're bringing that back. I believe that was done before COVID, but that was before my time with the Journal. So we have that. We, of course, will have Most Admired CEO in August, and Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, is going to be our Lifetime Achievement honoree.
Wow.
So very proud about that and so excited that he accepted that. We will have our Fastest Growing Companies Award in September.
Awesome.
And that has been revamped and changed a little bit. And then we'll have our Women Who Mean Business event, which is our largest. We'll have 700 to 800 people at that awards. And we just announced this week that Pat Mann Phillips, the chairman of the rodeo, will be our special guest. So I'll sit down with her with a little fireside chat.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So very
That's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Florian, talk to us about, so part of the mission for the Economic Alliance, right? If is that we are really designed to be an advocate for the growth and the economic development of our region. So we want to make sure the message is conveyed. Similar to you, we want people coming to our organization and saying, should I bring my business to that region? So covering this region, give us some insight as to what your thoughts are. You've been covering this region for a while. What are some major takeaways that you have seen from the growth happening in the Port region?
Mm-hmm. So the Port region, all the stories I've written about it is just industrial, obviously, right?
Yeah.
The Baytown area, you have some really big industrial parks there, like the Cedar Port Industrial Park, for example. And now, lately with the Grand Parkway coming in, made a huge difference on the east side, on the northeast side. Now we see a lot happening north of Baytown, north of I-10. That whole area, it still caters to the port. It's right there. You have 146, and then you have the Grand Parkway. And other than that, there is a lot of vacant land still, but you see more and more happening. You see there's a new industrial park in the Dayton area that I wrote about, or two at least, that are really being developed right now. And so with that, there's jobs, right? And
Right.
then after jobs, there's residential development. So you see a lot of that happening now in a part of Houston that was not in the path of growth before.
Right.
Because there's mostly, and still is mostly, growing to the north area of Houston, the Katy area, Brookshire, so I-10 West, and then the Woodlands and Magnolia in the north. But yeah, now you're seeing it in the east too, and towards Beaumont now. And that's probably the last growth area of Houston, geographically, if you look all around. And
we run out of space down south, and then if we go any
Yes.
further west, we'll be San Antonio.
Correct.
Right. So,
Right.
And north we hit Dallas.
North, we're about to be in Dallas. So it's
Yeah.
like, at some point in time,
Mhm.
you just got to start really stacking it on the right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming. And
East.
in the east, you have those port jobs and all the refinery jobs, which, as you're better than I, there's a huge range of different jobs and income levels.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a huge opportunity for residential growth for that. And you see actually there's a very big project happening in Mont Belvieu right now called Riceland, that is coming together pretty quickly, which is kind of redeveloping the downtown of Mont Belvieu. And really, I guess, a small town now, but it's gonna be pretty big with just this one master plan community, where they're also rebuilding a new town center, a whole new downtown area.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Mount Bellevue's been blowing up. So yeah, it's huge. I took, so normally you would go to Galveston to Crystal Beach through 45 and down to Galveston. Well, I took I-10 a few weeks ago and just I hadn't been down that far in a long time. And to your point, we were coming from the north side, so you can now take the Grand Parkway all the way kind of around and come back down 146. And then so as you work your way through and navigate that part of town, it's mind blowing how much growth is happening, you know. And then the fact that we support it with such a huge economic engine, you know, with all the growth that's happening over here in the port, you know, they say that for every job that's created in one of these refineries, 7 jobs are created in the community. And so when you think about that and how much more space is going to be needed to continue to fill these jobs, it's pretty exciting stuff. Yeah. And so day in the life of a reporter in your space, right? What does that look like for you? How do you go about staying out in front of all the great things that are happening in the region?
Yeah. Well, we do get a lot of press releases from developers, from real estate companies, and others that want people to know about their developments and their deals and so on. And so over time, you develop a source network that way. They see your articles, they see, you know, that really got us a lot of maybe clients or, you know, buyers or whatever it may be. What I found interesting coming from more general news before, from when I was with the NPR station here, is that in the real estate world, not everybody really understands that value of having their projects written about. And I mean, there's a lot of them that have experience with that, and they have PR firms or at least, you know, communications media contact. But a lot of them don't, and a lot of them are really they build really great products and projects. And so my challenge is every day to find those people because they're not coming to us. I need to find them somewhere.
There you go.
And
right.
yeah,
and help them get the word out, right?
Exactly,
about what they're doing. Yeah,
because it benefits them.
Yeah, you know, there's a guy in the north side, but he's developed a ton of stuff in the Woodlands area. But you just say the importance of this. I don't live in the Woodlands. I don't think about the Woodlands. I don't, you know, none of those things. But because he's been in y'all's stuff, he's been in social media, you know, he's understands the essence of the significant value of his name, his development company, what he's doing, being out there and publicized. And so I ran into I saw his name tag at an event a while back, and I had to go compliment him and talk to him. But it was just thinking about how significant that is about what you just said, right? So hopefully someone who's listening to this understands the significant value. If you're in commercial real estate, if you're developing and building things, make sure you're getting that publication out there because, I mean, is it a big deal that I knew who he was? Probably not, but but if you think about it, I don't live in the area, don't know anything about the area, but I sure as heck knew when I saw his name, I was like, man, I've seen some of your stuff, you know? I mean, so imagine what that does for the people who are actually trying to develop or trying to buy or build in that area. They're going to go to that guy. Right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of the core nature of what you're doing is to help give some signature opportunities for people to, you know, go out there and leverage your publication and get their name out there.
But then also wanting people to know that they shouldn't see us as a promoter for their projects because that's not my job. I'm not a marketing.
Right.
I'm not in sales for them. You know.
Right.
I write it as I see it and focus on the facts. And I try to get all the details, but I don't try to promote it per se. I mean, in effect, it will be promoted because it's out there and people will know about it. But it's not my job to promote it. It's just to write about it, what it is, what's happening.
Right.
Is happening.
Yeah, they're not paying for
Correct.
marketing in the sense that you're not a market, but the ability to leverage the publication in and of itself because it's a value-based publication. Does it if you're doing good work and you guys are published, it's going to effectively do that. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. Right. So,
and I mean, there's an option to for paid articles as well in APJ, which I'm not involved with.
Right.
But that's, you know, if someone thinks that their project or deal or whatever it is valuable for Houstonians to know about, but maybe we don't think so in the editorial team, then they're welcome to, submit a paid article as well.
Absolutely. So there's also the paid version as well. So
and
it's a combination. Absolutely. Good to know. I'm glad we highlighted that. So Traci, I know that you guys are really kind of a cornerstone in regards to community involvement. I mean, I like to think that HBJ has really done a great job of being a go-to organization or across a number of fronts. So talk to us about how and what things you guys are involved in, or what, how do you guys, I would imagine everybody's coming to you trying to get plugged in. So how do you go about the process of getting plugged into the right organizations? Who are you supporting? Why? And I mean, what is the process for all that, and what things are you guys behind, or what nonprofits are you guys kind of plugged into, or value adds that over and above, what you guys do every day in and of yourself?
Well, you're right. I get a lot of calls and a lot of requests, and so it is hard because there's so many amazing organizations out there, and you do have to decide strategically what's the best. But like one thing, for example, we've been partners with the Economic Alliance for many years.
Absolutely.
You guys have your big event coming up in September. We'll be running kind of a pre-event promo and program in our paper in August. So we're very excited about that. Other things, I mean, we work with everyone from junior achievement and try to showcase some of these young future leaders at like our most admired CEO, to Girl Scouts. We had them at one of our events. We also will have them at our women's event. Not only do they give out free cookies, which everybody loves, but of course it's a great way for the young ladies to help work name tag tables and get to see what it's like to be in a business environment. We also work with the Women's Shelter. We work with the Women's Chamber of Commerce. We work with the Asian Chamber of Commerce. So we try to pick usually organizations that are very business focused, but sometimes there's also those, such as the Women's Shelter, we're very passionate about and just need our help and do our best to try to do what we can to sponsor them or showcase them somehow at our events or in the paper.
So great for you guys to be able to have such a footprint for creating impact. I just love it. That's fantastic. So as we get ready to wrap up, is there anything that we want to make sure that we capture before we get off the show? Any highlights or any specific things that either one of the two of you could think about that we want to make sure we don't get off without speaking about?
So just from my point, I would say we still have a couple of our award nominations still open. The women, the fastest growing companies in our HR impact. So please, anybody that would love to nominate, it's free to nominate. It's a great way to get your name and your brand out there in front of our audience. We're already working on 2026. And so we'll be announcing probably right after 4th of July, some of the editorial highlights that we'll be featuring.
Nice.
So very excited about unveiling that soon.
Florian, anything?
I would just say please subscribe to the HBJ if you want to stay on top of the business news in Houston.
Absolutely. So Houston Business Journal, for those that, HBJ. And again, you guys are signature partners of ours here at the Alliance. But I like to think of you as a partner for the city and the region more than anything, because you really do. You go out and it's non-biased news, right? It's just real truth, real examples of what's happening in our marketplace. And you can go to it, read it, and find out what's happening, right? And so you combine that with organizations like this, these economic development organizations in the area, champion those together, and I think we can continue to tell a great story about what's happening here in Houston. So we do appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. So thanks for joining us today. And for our audience, I want to thank you for tuning in. We're always so grateful to have you. As I've said on numerous times on this particular episode, our mission is to make sure we spread the great news of what's happening, not only in the great city of Houston, but specifically in the Port region, and getting the message out there around just how important this region is to the economic development for our state, for fueling and funding and growing the income or the GDP of our state. This is the economic engine really inside of it. And so we're thankful to have partners like HBJ who help us spread that word and communicate it. We need your help in doing the same thing. So as always, I ask you to pay it forward by sending this episode to somebody who needs to hear it. If you're watching it and one of your companies is thinking about, should I grow? Should I get invested in it? Have them get connected to the HBJ, plug in and look at what we're doing, but also look at the work that's happening across the rest of the city, because it's a great resource for that. And if you have any feedback and you want to give it back to me or recommend anybody to join us on an episode, just reach out to me through LinkedIn. It's Jason Lee. Again, you can reach out. You can find me. It's pretty easy. And I'd love to connect with you. So as always, we thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.